Go legends, how's everybody doing? Inflation coming out slightly lower than expected. Bitcoin getting a tiny weeny little pump to the upside. Let's go. Let's see if this is sustainable or not, guys. Make sure to destroy the like button on your way in. Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin. Let's go, legends. How are you doing today? Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button. And let's dive in right away, guys. We got inflation data slightly lower than expected. Forecast was 2.5. 2.4 is actual right now. That's pretty good. So it is slightly lower, 0.1%. Okay. Even core inflation is 2.8, 0.1% less than expected. Markets are getting a little bit of a bullish reaction right now on that data coming out. And we are going to be analyzing the situation here, getting a nice little green candle here to the upside. Come on, Bitcoin, let's go. We're analyzing the situation here today. My goodness, so many scenarios. I was doing analysis with 𝗬𝗆. 𝗬𝗆 was mainly doing the analysis, discussing this scenario right over here. And we'll be talking about the, what are the different scenarios that could play out for the moment with this pump right now. Bearish case scenario is that we do have a 1-2 scenario right over here, and this is going to end up rolling down, right? Just with the news, you get the fake pump, and then the price rolls over. In just an hour, we do have New York open. We are seeing NASDAQ getting that nice little reaction with inflation lower than expected. Of course, if inflation is lower than expected, we would expect that little pump to the upside. Let's go. Time to short. Yeah, well, we were barely holding here the value area low of this consolidation throughout the range, I have to say. In a long position at the moment in this zone, but just was not sure with the news coming out. Everything pointed out that we did have a possible WXY forming here, right? Because yesterday we did have a zigzaggy move to the downside. Okay, we had a three-wave structure, okay, to the downside here, and we had a significant rally. So all of this does look corrective regardless if we were to go down. Okay, it does look like that the highs that we did create on Tuesday is just a matter of time to be hit. We've actually built up some local nice liquidity, okay, throughout the highs that was created here. from Tuesday, right? Just slightly above $110,700. We do have that liquidity. Of course, there is lots of liquidity to the downside, okay? We could not deny that. We're going to be talking about the different scenarios, but in the short time frame, there is slightly more liquidity above $110,000 than actually below $108,000, okay? So, you know, there is that chance right now that we do stretch our legs to sweep up the highs. Now, could this give us a swing failure pattern from the local highs? For the moment, it looks pretty okay. There's really nothing bearish about this momentum. It looks extremely corrective, which obviously gives you that, you know, possible signs that the price, you know, should really go to claim those highs. So with the price action of yesterday, it's been a little bit difficult here, guys. This range, I have to say, you know, we are pumping ever so slightly right now with that news coming out. But can we trust the pump? Can we trust the pump? NASDAQ is pumping with the news. We also have Bitcoin with that small little rally. Could it be a trap? I mean, the only bearish case scenario that I do see here available that I was discussing with 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗍 is a multiple 1-2 scenario. However, you know, this would have to be some kind of a, you know, contracting diagonal of some kind. And we got your 1-2, 1-2 with this pump, and now it breaks down. So it does look better as a WXY. Let's keep it simple, right? You moved down in a zigzag here, right? This is a three-wave structure. Three-wave structures, of course, you know, you look at the price to obviously claim this high at some point. That doesn't mean that we cannot go lower. Of course we can. But ultimately, it does have high probability that this high will be taken at some point. Now, the question is when? Well, you know, that's the deal here, right? When we do analyze a little bit of this momentum, also that nice little pump. So, you know, if we were to consider a leading move to the downside, which is eventually looking at a three-wave structure, okay, to the down, a five-wave structure, sorry, to the downside, right? This is what we want to see. We want to see bang, 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 right? You know, get that momentum to the downside. There was no leading move here, which eventually with that movement to the upside, also in a three-wave structure, you know, makes you think about a sideways corrective move, because this move to the upside did retrace, barely hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci, right? On some exchanges, not on Bybit, okay, but on some exchanges we did tap the 0.88, such as Coinbase, right over here with this movement, which is giving you a low probability of a successful big breakdown, okay, which means, you know, all of this is corrective. It doesn't mean that we cannot lose the lows. Of course we can, but it's telling me that all of this could be a WXY after this rally to the upside, just a consolidation to then finally take out those highs from Tuesday. As we do have that zigzag up here, and then here a potential flat where you hit the 0.9 Fibonacci and you swept the lows right there, getting the reaction with the news at the moment. So, you know, is this pump sustainable? We cannot rely on the news, right? This is why when you have a trade open throughout the news, you just want to be defensive, right? If you have a trade open in this region, it's like you don't know how the price is going to react to the news, right? It could be a pump and dump, it could be a dump and pump. So it's really not the best environment to get into a trading setup, to be honest, right? I entered a small long position in this zone. Stop loss is miles away, just, you know, just for entertainment purposes on this being possibly a WXY, right? You know, you do have the reasons to believe that this could be a WXY, where you have that zigzag to the upside here, and right here you do have a flat. So everything points out that that is definitely a scenario that could be unfolding. Bearish case, you always need to have a bearish case, okay? Bearish case, you always need to have one, but this would be the complex sideways corrective move, and the price from this zone should be really starting to move to the upside. You know, that is the base here on this sideways complex corrective structure, right? It's just a complex, you know, zigzag down, zigzag up, flat here, you get confused. So this is the zone that should be really maintaining, okay, for the flat to get that rally to claim those highs of Tuesday, right? That is the technical scenario here, looking at Elliott waves, right? Which is very, very complex. Not everybody loves it, right? But it's very, very interesting to see how the price could develop. Bearish case scenario. We need to talk about it, right? We need to talk about it for sure, right? On some exchanges, we did hit the 0.9 here, the 0.8 Fibonacci, which is possible for that flat structure. You know, I cannot deny that. There is a chance. You know, this is still better, well, as a three-wave move to the upside. On some exchanges, hitting the 0.9, the 0.88, right? On Bybit, we didn't. Which is, you know, kind of is an invalidation for a flat, right? If you don't hit the 0.9 Fibonacci, well, you can't be looking at a flat, and you could be looking at, you know, something else, a zigzag basically to the downside, a double zigzag. But everything points out that we should be okay holding this zone. But with the news coming out, okay, taking into consideration the bearish case, you know, I can only see the possible flat scenario here for the bearish case, as on some exchanges we did hit the 0.9 Fibonacci from the movement down, right, which gives you that possibility for the flat. And inside of a C wave of a flat, well, you want 5 waves down, which, you know, it can be the case eventually, right? If the WXY doesn't play out, taking out the highs of Tuesday, well, you know, the bearish case, which is actually losing the lows, what you want to count is a 3-wave structure, a 3-wave move to the upside, and a 1-2, some kind of a contracting diagonal here for your second wave 1 and 2, which is extremely longer from your first wave 1 and 2, and this did hit the 0.88 Fibonacci. So, you know, it decreases probabilities, but regardless, you know, even though probabilities are low, it could still play out where you have a 1-2, 1-2, and then you move down. Not the best looking one, as this second 1-2 is much larger than this one. So, you know, probabilities are not favoring too much the bearish case, and probabilities are ever so slightly that a WXY could be the case here to take out those highs of Tuesday. So let's go right away and, you know, talk about the most important levels of resistance and support locally. I'll be going through the comment section right away just to say hello to the beautiful community. And yeah, I mean, I have to be clear that the most important levels is actually sitting above the highs that were created on Tuesday, which is a naked point of control. We do have a naked point of control all the way up there. I don't know why this is so thick. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that's interesting. We do have that naked point of control right over here. I don't know why this is so thick. But anyway, doesn't matter. We missed that naked point of control. This is from price action from back in, you know, the 23rd of May. There is a naked point of control from this consolidation right over here, high volume node, which was front runned from this movement up. So yeah, this is without a doubt a tough level of resistance, you know, where the price could get their rejection just slightly above the Tuesday highs. So, you know, this could be that possible liquidity grab, and then short position, we need to get the rejection. If not, we just break out, and maybe all-time highs is on the horizon, guys. What can we say? This structure still looks more corrective than impulsive to the downside. So, you know, we're leading on, you know, there is a chance on hitting Tuesday's highs, and depending on the reaction from Tuesday's highs and that naked point of control, which is sitting at $110,800, you know, it could actually flip as support. Boom, boom, we head to all-time highs. This would be an awesome potential 5-wave structure, which is bullish eventually, or, you know, multiple 1-2s is something as well that we can discuss today. But the overall trend is up, right? So, you know, pretty bullish momentum that we are having here throughout the last few days. Another good level is another naked point of control, which is sitting down, okay, at $107,700. I don't know why, I'm not sure why I don't have that on the chart, but it's very important. Very importante level of support, guys, which is all the way down here. That's from this nice consolidation that we did have. So it is a reactive zone, right? It could get a reaction, right? And a potential bounce, right? It could move down to that zone, right? Regardless if we do this or that. It doesn't matter. It's a level to take into consideration. And I would only consider it just if we were to roll down, guys, without claiming this high. I would really lean on the flat structure, because on Coinbase and I think Binance as well, we have hit the 0.9 Fibonacci retracement here on that movement to the upside. Let's discuss that level here, right? There's nothing bearish about this move, right? The most bearish case scenario would be a flat, but all of this is not bearish, guys. I have to say, somebody was saying short the market now. Well, you know, 0.9 was hit here. The 0.9 Fibonacci was hit yesterday on Coinbase, which is giving you that possibility of a flat. So if we were to have that flat structure, you know, we want to take a look at some possible extensions. Let me know, guys, if this is a fake pump on the news and we could be forming that flat to the downside. Yeah, a common flat target zone, regular flats would actually be coming down to the 1236, 1382, especially if you haven't claimed the highs here. For a expanding flat, of course, the 1.618 would be your most common zone. But yeah, flat is something that we could be definitely analyzing here, because if we do not manage to claim the highs here, these highs are going to be claimed at some point in the next coming days, regardless if we go down, right? Of course, we could go down to lower levels, but, you know, regardless, I would be very interested in looking for long positions, okay? Very interested in looking for long positions if we do not claim this high today and we roll down, right? If we were to roll down, longs are still very, very attractive. So the best level for that reaction zone is really considering a flat. Because if you do take a look at this, you want to see a 5-wave structure, 3-wave structure, 5-wave to the downside to consider an ABC, right? I don't think we're going to form a zigzag here purely based on the analysis, right? Because you've had a 3-wave move down and a 3-wave move up yesterday, which, you know, just gives you the chance for the flat. So, you know, this is without a doubt a zone that I would be expecting a bounce. You've got that order block right over here, right? It's basically a fair value gap right over here. So you would be expecting some support in between $107,000 and $108,000 with that naked point of control potentially being your guidance, right? That could be your guidance. You're rolling down here, you know, you don't want to catch a falling knife. You reclaim that naked point of control. We have a flat structure here, so this could be the moment that we could be interested in that, you know, next new long position, right? Just keeping it clear with the levels on the chart. You know, nice order block right there with a naked point of control. You got still this consolidation with this high volume node, which is just slightly above the highs. So in a nutshell here, if a flat were to be created, we would really have to lean on a multiple 1-2 setup here, unless yeah, I am not going to be counting contracting diagonals here or anything. You know, I would just be happy to say it's a 1-2 1-2 3 4-5 4-5. It can get choppy here in this range, and I would be labeling this as an ABC flat, as I know most of the exchanges have hit the 0.9. Okay, and we got a 3-wave structure to the downside. 3-wave structure to the downside means that you cannot have an aggressive ABC down. Right, so I'm leaning more bullish on this, guys. I do think that those Tuesday's highs can be claimed, as there is a lot of liquidity, and this does look very, very WXY, you know, complex sideways momentum. So I am leaning on the chance of coming to claim the highs here. Okay, if it were to be bearish, if we were to roll down from here, then this is the zone of interest to get that bounce, legends. Okay, eventually if you cross that zone, then, you know, I wouldn't be too interested in longing if you were to lose that level. Okay, if you were to lose this level, I would be not interested in longing in this zone, because you got that fair value gap here that you know, is not providing much support, unfortunately. So you know, this could get aggressive if we were to roll down. Let's go right away through the comment section, see what the community are saying. Okay, see what the people are saying here. We've got that, you know, bullish news. Inflation is lower than expected. Got a nice little pumpy action. I'm interested in seeing, you know, your point of view here, guys. But for the moment, to see this as a start of a leading move to the downside, yeah, it's just not the best. Not the best. Not the best. You would have to be forming some kind of a double 1-2, which does not look great. We hit the 0.88 Fibonacci here. This second wave 1 and 2 is just extremely longer than your first wave 1 and 2, which eventually decreases the probabilities. And, you know, other bearish case scenario would be, you know, looking for a possible contracting diagonal here, which, you know, eventually might sweep up the lows right over here again. I mean, this is the only bearish case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Apart from the double 1-2, eventually you break down in a 3, which has low probabilities in my opinion, looking at this structure. So you got this. Could you claim this, form a 3-wave structure, and then roll down? Not looking too great. Not looking too great for the bearish case scenarios, I have to say. Even though if we roll down, we are maintaining the value area low here of this zone. Bearish structure doesn't look insane. Doesn't look insane, the bearish structure. So let's go right away through the comment section. There is some news. Of course, we do have the agreement with US and China. It seems everything good. Market didn't react too much to this. This only came out throughout the last few hours. So yeah, not much going on there. Let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, and see what's going on. What are the levels, brother? On mobile, can't see the ranges. Bears didn't got the catalyst they expected. Mr. Powell will say more data. Yeah, we do have well, tomorrow we do have some interesting news. PPI that is coming in tomorrow, Friday. Michigan consumer sentiment. Yeah. Inflation is lower than expected. NASDAQ is getting that little push to the upside. I'm not sure if it is going to be sustainable eventually, right? You know, when we get the pumps or the dumps on the news, it could reverse very, very quick, right? News can be very, very trappy. But NASDAQ is really, really, really rolling up here to the upside. Let's go right away through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. See what's going on. Mr. Powell will say more data. Somebody said it was time to short. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, this does not look bearish. You know, it looks more a sideways, complex, corrective move after a major rally. There is still piles of liquidity sitting above the highs of Tuesday, right? So with this consolidation looking more as a bullish, right, bull flag if you wish, right, just a complex sideways corrective move, and that liquidity sitting above Tuesday's highs, you know, it makes you think that there is a high chance that we can just come up there, right? If you ask me, you know, is this weakness right there? Is this weakness? I'm going to say it doesn't look like it. It really looks like, right, just for the, you know, the average Joe, you know, it could be a bullish pennant, right, or whatever, right? Does look like more of a sideways corrective structure. You know, having a hard time here to say, you know, is this bearish? A low probability scenario would be looking at this as a 5-wave move to the downside, but that comes with the same scenario from the higher time frames, right? Could you count this as a 5-wave move down? Well, we got a problem. Your 4th wave overlapped your wave 1, and then you need to start thinking of contracting or expanding diagonals, which are incredibly uncommon for a leading move, right? Eventually you got that zigzag move up, then this would have to be a multiple 1-2 you break down. This is uncommon, very uncommon. right? And this is the exact same scenario from here, right? If we do take a look at this movement down that we've had throughout the previous weeks, you know, we were saying that, yeah, forget about this, right, being the highest probability scenario, purely based on overlapping the wave 1 with your wave 4. And when we had this 3-wave structure, it was like, yeah, game on. Any movement down here, you know, we're looking for a reactive move up, right? Regardless if it's going to be a swing failure pattern from here. The continuation to the downside here was highly unlikely based on this move. So, you know, people that were counting this as a bearish leading move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they expect a 3-wave structure and roll down. And, you know, we did get a significant rally here. So, anyway, we're going to be taking a look at some different scenarios based on Elliott wave theory, okay, to see how the price could evolve in the next coming days, coming hours. You know, this would be very cheeky. It would be cheeky if the price rolls down from here, right? It would be very cheeky. This is a very complex, you know, sideways momentum, which does not look that bearish. Of course, can it be bearish? Absolutely yes, guys. You know, there's nothing certain here in the market. We're only looking at high probability scenarios, and with this structure, especially with this bounce, you know, that it does look better. It does look better for the bulls here to possibly claim the highs of Tuesday, right? So let's go right away through the comment section, see what the people are saying. Jerome, much love, the legend himself. Morning, Andy. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great, my man. Much love to everybody. Time to short, says Dev. Well, you know, you could take that risk eventually. You could take that risk. You just need to manage your risk. If you were to tell me about this being, you know, a good shorting level, this bounce, you know, taking from this high, which was the bounce of yesterday, I need to come with some kind of bearish structure here, which, you know, not having the greatest time to see a bearish structure here. You got the movement down with a bounce to the 0.88. That's obviously significantly decreases the probability for this to be a wave 2. So you already got, you know, less probability just with this movement. This very choppy momentum to the downside. You would need a label. Is it a wave 3? Well, wave 3s are mainly aggressive. It just tested the lows and got this epic bounce with the news. Other scenario is a double 1-2. Yeah, that is the only thing that I see here for this bearish case to play out, right? You're going to move down in a wave 3 and then you form your 4 5s, 4 5s, right? Before you get the bounce. Obviously looking at this still as a corrective structure to then get the rally later on. Finding some support potentially in this order block zone. Maybe it does create that choppiness, confusion, where this is the zone where the price could definitely bounce. So, you know, if you are bearish, somebody saying it's time to short, well, I would have this as your invalidation. These highs, right, should be your invalidation. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to short. Have no stop loss. You know, this should be your hard stop loss, okay? Because if you do claim this high, it's obviously, you know, highly likely that you just sweep up the Tuesday high. So it's not worth having a stop loss here or here, because it might just, you know, take it out. And obviously, you know, your stop loss could be relatively large. But I don't, you know, I don't like it, guys. I don't like it. You know, if I want to see this as a 1-2-1-2 or a 1-2-3-4-5, you know, it forms another wick down, I would be a little bit skeptical on the bounce. But yeah, it's not looking too bearish, I have to say. Not looking too bearish for the moment. If it is going to be bearish, the bears need to defend these highs. If you claim these highs, you know, it's you know, without a doubt highly likely that you're just going to take out these highs. So yeah, that is a little bit of the scenario that we have right now, legends. Volatility, we just got a little pump, on NASDAQ and on Bitcoin. Nothing too major. Everybody's expecting massive volatility. We just got a little pump as inflation is slightly lower than expected. Okay, we do have some interesting news out there. We can take a look at some altcoins legends. I know a lot of people are very skeptical on altcoins. Okay, a lot of people are very skeptical, guys. Altcoins, if you want to get wrecked, buy altcoins, right? Bitcoin's the only one. I think it is smart to buy altcoins, you know, in the downtrend. You want to have at least 10% of your portfolio, right? Of your net worth, I would say myself, no financial advice, just to have those couple of good projects that, you know, can impact the future, right? Of finance, of decentralized finance, basically, right? And Chainlink is one of them. I like Chainlink. You know, Chainlink, I think, is going to have an awesome rally in the next coming months at some point. Bitcoin dominance will eventually break down from this huge multi-year uptrend. You know, this ain't going to go up forever to 100%. You know, it's eventually at some point going to break down, right? Investors like to make money. They don't care about Bitcoin. They don't care about the biggest technology on this altcoin, right? They care about making money, and there will be a transition, of course, of stop speculating on Bitcoin as it is already at all-time high. You know, let's, you know, dabble into Ethereum and some other altcoins, right? Which eventually is going to happen at some point, guys, right? The timing is very difficult, but it's going to happen at some point. So you just, you know, as the easiest way of investing, you know, you just want to buy on the dips, right? And Chainlink, for me, Chainlink, I couldn't stress this enough for my legit followers. Most of my Chainlink accumulation was here. You know, people that have been following here for the last couple of years, they know that I bought most of my Chainlink in this zone. I did already have Chainlink from back in 2019, but I had more money here, right? So I did buy more aggressively in this zone. And it's, you know, it's still up just over a 2x. And I think Chainlink is going to do absolutely incredible. Everything looks like, the good thing about this, guys, on Chainlink, this movement down is looking incredibly corrective, right? You know, since we had that movement down in the last few weeks throughout April, right? March, April, you know, I was in doubt a little bit. What if this is the ABC? That's it, guys. You know, this was the altcoin rally. This is pretty good. Chainlink did about a 5-6x on average from this range, from the lows of the range. Obviously, we're not interested in buying the pumps, guys, so we already positioned. This was another option, but I'm saying that this area is also another option, guys, between $10 and, you know, $15 even, right? Maybe the returns are not going to be that massive eventually if you didn't buy here. But there is something good about Chainlink. This movement to the downside looks incredibly corrective, just like this movement down, right, was looking incredibly corrective. We were, you know, we were confident that this area, this is why I had my red box, since we were moving down in this zone, to say this is the buying zone, guys. This is the buying zone for Chainlink, regardless if you want to get into a swing long with low leverage, right, or buy, you know, easiest thing is to just buy, right? Accumulate. I think that, you know, we do have another opportunity here because this movement down looks incredibly corrective, you know, especially with this bounce up, right? It's a very, very corrective move. And it's not looking impulsive to the downside. So a multiple 1-2 setup here. And eventually after a 1-2, you're gonna, you know, your third wave is what is going to explode, right? I'm not sure if I do have this on logarithmic. I'm not sure why I do, but right. So, you know, eventually in a multiple 1-2 setup here, you're still in the beginning stages of your third wave potentially here. So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty damn good. It looks promising. You know, I'm going to say at least $45 Chainlink for in the next coming months at some stage. You know, it might sound crazy. It might sound, you know, this guy must be out of his mind. There's no money, no quantitative easing, recession, right? You get the deal. But you know, you don't want to buy Chainlink on the pump eventually, on the breakout of this high. Yeah, this is no, you have no deal here in doing anything. You're either positioned from lower or you don't do anything here. You missed out. Because if you buy here, well, yeah, welcome to crypto. You're going to roll it back down, right? Now that we've got this massive move down and we are consolidating for the last few weeks here, it's just a no-brainer, guys, right? It's the same goddamn scenario every single time. It's just the same scenario every single time. So anyway, you take that with a pinch of salt, guys. This is no financial advice, but I'm already positioned on Chainlink. It's my biggest altcoin holding, and this is the altcoin that I do expect to make significant gains at some point in the next coming months, regardless if it's going to be this year or in 2029. I don't care, right? It's an investment. It's there. We just hold on into the bags. A lot of people are very, very, you know, they're not happy with this bull market. I understand. You know, I'm still pretty well positioned. I do have some altcoins in the red, but it is what it is. Welcome to crypto. So anyway, let's go right away through alt season already happened. You just picked the wrong. Wait, what? Bulls one step closer to, yeah, I mean, 𝗬𝗫cie𝗺𝗽, come on. Altcoin season already happened. Not too sure about that. Not too sure about it, okay? Time to dump and pump my shorts. P2P. Let's see. Powell needs more data. Let's go through the comment section. We've got that shill. Blocky AI agent says hello to community. Thank you very much, my man, Roger Timo. Thanks for the $10. Not sure what this is, but might be a scam. It might be a legit project. Do your research. This is a classic shilling, you know, super chat. I don't think like you. I'm thinking about pump and only pump, says Marco. Absolutely. BTC pumping it is. Don't you know, short it down. You got to short it down, says Hakan. Yeah, you know, unless you have very, very good levels to short or long, okay? I'm not liking the short here, legends. I'm not liking the short. Yeah. So, I mean, if you wanted to short based on a, you know, technical reason and good risk management, I'm already forwarding that I do not like the short. Could it happen? Absolutely. This should be your hard invalidation, these highs. Yes, it could pump swing failure pattern. There is a naked point of control here. So you might think, I'm just going to add to the short. Well, you know the deal. We do not know if this is going to absolutely explode to all-time high from this zone, right? So if you don't manage risk, you have the possibility of getting wrecked. So you would just have to take this as your invalidation, right? And then obviously your next level of resistance would be that naked point of control, which is slightly above the highs here. I'm not liking this as a short, guys. I would really like the possibility of the price, you know, getting a pump. Maybe this is your first pump, then your third pump right there, and then form a 5-wave structure. And then I would say, okay, a swing failure pattern here, right, from the highs of Tuesday, touching, rejecting that naked point of control could make sense. But I don't want to have any shorts in this area, that is for sure. I would rather get stopped out if I am looking at this as a double 1-2, which doesn't look good at all. So this has to be your invalidation. You know, I'm in no shorts at the moment. Currently and still in that swing long position and in a long position from this area, guys, but it's a very, very small position. You know, that might get stopped out from that. You know, I do see the bullish case, but it's just a small position with the news. This does look more corrective. It does look pretty okay. Got a back above the VWAP. It looks better for the bulls. It does look better for the bulls. Yeah, consolidating nicely here above the VWAP after this pump. Swept the lows, swept the higher lows here. Value area low got supported in the end after sweeping up the low. Yeah, you know, I'm not in the best long position here. Just very much aware of the price really consolidating in that ABC flat, looking at the WXY. You know, this is what looks more sexy at the moment, guys. Okay, this is the regardless if this is a WXY zigzag, and you got that zigzag move up, and then you have the flat ride over here sweeping up the lows. These are very, very complex, you know, sideways corrective moves, right? Whoever doesn't have experience realizing the different possibilities, you know, is going to have a bad time to detect these scenarios, right? This is just a sideways complex, you know, corrective move, right? You have several options, right? You have a zigzag down, zigzag up, a flat here also, X, right? Three waves up. You have a triangle possibility, you have a flat possibility, which is the one that is, you know, we're leaning on at the moment, even though the timing is not that great. You know, they're just very, very complex sideways corrective structures, which is, it looks like what's happening right now. Okay, it does look like a complex sideways correction, which eventually is leading the higher probability of taking out the highs than actually breaking down. You take that with a pinch of salt, but it does look like what is on the formation here. And the bearish case, the only bearish case that I see is the multiple 1-2, which you always need to consider it. You can not only be bullish or only be bearish. I prefer the bullish case scenario, but I'm aware that, you know, yeah, the bearish case could happen. 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? It breaks down, gets to 108, maybe 107. The possibility is there, right? You cannot say it's impossible. Of course it's possible. You know, you are forming lower highs, you're downtrending in this zone. Don't like it that much because your second 1-2 here, in this case, is longer than your higher time frame wave 1 and 2, right? And that's not what you want to see. So it's all a probabilities game here. Probabilities do lean slightly more for the bulls, even though the pump with the news, that VWAP is holding here by a thread. We're forming a little bit of a triangle, right? You could arguably discuss it could be forming a bullish pennant after this pump. See if we do have some. Oh, CBD is going a little bit crazy here. Yeah, something that is against this scenario is that we do have some bearish CBD divergence, right? We're getting some longs entering here, aping in. Some longs aping in here, and we do have ever so slightly some bearish CBD divergence, right? With this new pump on the rest of exchanges, right? We've got some new fresh bearish CBD divergence. We've got some longs coming in here in the market in the last 30 minutes. They're aping in. Let's go right away through the comment section, see what's going on. It does look like we do have a little bit of a possible bullish pennant, if you wish. Keeping it simple, we are above the VWAP. We are forming that little bullish pennant possibility, right? Or a channel that could be on the formation. We are above the VWAP. Higher time frame, the bullish case scenario does look a little bit better. It looks better. Bearish case scenario, any bears out there, you know, your invalidation has to be these highs. You know, you don't want the bulls to reach these highs because they will have a high chance in reaching the highs of Tuesday. Okay, for any bears out there, right? If they want to, you know, if they want to speculate on the bearish case scenario, which could always be a possibility. If you claim these highs, then you know we're coming up above 110.7. It's just extremely likely that we get that squeeze if these highs are claimed at 110.3k. Let's go right away through the comment section, see what the people are saying. Every dip will be bought very fast, says Jerome. Jerome, the massive bull. Here he is in the comment section. The king of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, let's go. It's a trap, says Hakan. Zevik. It's a trap. It is a bull trap, this pump. Possible. Deal with China. Also good news. China. Good news. Yeah, also good news. Inflation is lower than expected. Everyone going long off the news market gonna get hammered by the market before backup. This is also something that you want to take into consideration, right? The news is, you know, when we have these news days, market opens, right? You got bullish news. I like that theory, okay? I really do like that theory where you got bullish news, everybody long, and then you do have the market opening, right? New York open in 15 minutes from now, and then it's like, yeah, you know, it is something very common actually. But maybe market makers are like, you know what? This time people will be shorting the pump and they want to short more, thinking that we are going to be shorting the market, but we're actually going to pump the prices even more. Right? Inverse psychology right there. Get the news of the pump, right? Get the pump of the news, sorry. Just 30 minutes after New York open, make the retail believe that we think as market makers that they are going to be shorting the pump of the news because we are going to dump it, and what we do is actually pump it more, right? If we're talking about psychology here, well, maybe they can think like that, right? Maybe they think, as they think they are smart and they think that, you know, they are getting into more longs on the news, you know, they're actually going to think of, I'm shorting the news, it's a fake out, and then and then they pump the price more, right? It's like, oh, it's a double trap for the bears, right? A double trap. But yeah, most commonly you would think that good news, everybody long, and then eventually on New York open, they are going to hammer the price to the downside, right? The Nasdaq also, which has just reached those recent highs of the range, right? Lots of people might think, you know, oh my goodness, this is really wedging out here. You know, this is an extreme ascending wedge. It's going to end up breaking down. Market is uptrending, let's leave it that way. Regardless if it's wedging or not, it is uptrending, right? So, you know, you don't want to fight the uptrend. Let's go right away through comment section. You know, it's interesting comments. Somebody saying, you know, people longing the news. Well, and market makers on the New York open are going to short. Your voice is slow. Is it slow or is it low? It is slow a little bit. Rate cut will happen next month. What will be the ADA price? Never long on resistance. Also true. Trend is your friend. Abdullah, absolutely. That is clear that the trend is your friend. And the Bitcoin trend throughout the last few days on this massive recovery, you know, this was a massive fake out here. Head and shoulder, yeah. This was not something that we were analyzing, you know, on the channel for sure, right? Could it got on a successful breakdown? Yes, of course. But it was all new information throughout Wednesday and Thursday last week. This is when we realized that a head and shoulder breakdown, yeah, you can move down, no doubt, but the continuation down was like, no. When it bounced from here, yeah, you can believe that, but when you form the first legs to the downside, you know, if we move down from here, it's gonna bounce back up at some point, right? And obviously it got the most epic bounce at such an easy strategy, right? Which is sweeping the lows of the range, of this previous range. Let me know in the comment section, did anybody get into a long position? I mean, you could have longed anywhere the last few days. You're in profit. But you know, obviously the best zone to enter was a swing failure pattern liquidity grab here. You had a few hours to decide if you wanted to enter that long position as a swing trade. because ultimately, I knew that there was higher probability that you were going to come up to these highs at some point. This was my main target zone. If you do swing failure pattern, realizing that this breakdown is not going to get continuation to the downside, and ultimately sweeping up these highs was the target zone when we were coming down in this area. And this was explained back in the, throughout Wednesday and Thursday of last week, because we moved down in a three-wave structure here, right? If you move down in a three-wave structure and not in a five-wave impulsive move, then you can be very bearish on the breakdown here, saying, yeah, we're probably going to roll down. But if you move down in a three-wave structure, you realize that this movement down has low probability and being a successful continuation breakdown. Yeah, you could move down a few $1,000s like it did very aggressively. It ended up in a very aggressive three-wave move down. But ultimately, liquidity grab, big massive bear trap here, head and shoulder. We're going to much lower levels. I actually got a few bad comments on a video that I made. A lot of people very bearish on the bounce, saying it's a trap, it's going to go down, head and shoulder. You're just going to form another right shoulder right over here. And I was like, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. We were really not leaning on this being an impulsive move down, just because simple theory right there. You had overlap with the wave 1 and 2 and 4. That immediately, says, yeah, if you have some kind of a corrective structure that you can analyze, eventually there was many. You could possibly have a WXYXZ. Yeah, you could have a double zigzag. W, X, very complex, very common for your wave X, and a wave Y finishing your zigzag here. This is not an impulse. You are ultimately looking at this high to be claimed at some point after this drop. So that's a swing long position that I've entered and still have some of that position open. I've taken significant profits of that swing failure pattern, but I think all-time highs is just a matter of time now, which is where I would take most of the rest of the profits on that swing failure pattern. Hasn't been easy to trade this range, this momentum to the upside. We haven't had many pullbacks. We can discuss those scenarios here. Not the easiest one. Easiest is just been pumping. Corrections have been mainly sideways and to the upside. So yeah, not an easy way to get into a pullback here. Guys, if you are interested in trading, remember that Bluffin does have 20% cashback, okay? 20% cashback on your deposit up to $500. All right, you just need an email and a password to sign up. If you can't trade on Bluffin, you can trade on Wix, $30,000 deposit bonus, and also 25% fee reduction. You got Bybit as well down below there, where you have some great perks. Okay, Wix is the fourth link down below. Bluffin, sorry. Okay, Wix is the second one. Make sure to take advantage if you want to trade on a exchange that just requires an email and a password. So overall, we getting that, nice little consolidation. We do have New York Open here. We are sitting above the VWAP. Bearish case. New York Open could really flip the picture here, right? So New York Open can flip the picture. I still think that this looks more bullish. It's a complex sideways corrective move. And that could be finished here. So let's see on New York Open. We have 7-8 minutes till it opens, and we're probably going to see some volatility in the next coming minutes. Let's get that like button absolutely destroyed, guys, because hey, come on, we can take a look at some altcoins. I know people are very skeptical on altcoins. Some people say altcoin season will never happen, right? Hey, it's all about time. You know what? I'm in crypto since 2018, and I bought 2019, 20, C19 crash, all my portfolio down 70%. Oh my goodness. I bought more, guys. And I've eventually made lots of gains throughout 2021. I didn't sell everything. I did ride a big bag to the downside. But ultimately, with the profits that I did take, which was just over 25%, was a lot of money eventually, right? Making it, lots of X's as they like, 30, 40 X's. And I think it's just a matter of time, guys. People are not happy with this bull market regarding altcoins. But yeah, Ethereum is already seeing some signs of strength, and Ethereum chart looks amazing. Ethereum chart looks amazing, guys. It's amazing. It really is. I'm not sure why this isn't logarithmic for some reason. Ethereum is in a multi-year corrective move. Multi-year corrective move. You have a three-wave structure to the downside since the peak of 2021. This is bullish. This means that you will, at some point in the future, regardless if we are alive or not, I assume we will, it's not going to take that long, will be coming above the all-time highs of 2021 to claim $5,000. Just because we moved down in a three-wave structure, and then, looking at this, we also had a, possible double zigzag here. And then you have a flat right over here, and you're already rallying. If this were to be some kind of bearish momentum, you want to see a big third wave down. You want to see a big bear market. You want to go down big time. It was not the case. This breakdown recovered above the low. And with all of this structure, you do have a WXY, and it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, that we get above to all-time high. And that is when altcoin season should kick in. We already have this good sign that ultimate recovery here for Ethereum in the next coming months is highly likely. So yeah, I want to be positioned on some altcoins, right? I know, guys, it just takes time. It just takes time. Everybody's like, screw altcoins. I'm down, 50% or 70%. You've just been buying at the wrong moment. All right, I'm down on some altcoins as well, guys. I cannot deny that. It's impossible to be everything in profit. Chainlink is in profit just because, I understood where I needed to buy aggressively, which was in between, the $5-8 range. But yeah, I understand a lot of people are very much wrecked with very, very strong unrealized losses, and they're just holding a very bad. A very, very, I don't know, guys. I am very vocal about the altcoins, where to buy and where not to buy. Okay, I do think there is some awesome opportunities. No financial advice. This is only me. ICP as well. This is my second largest holding. I love the project. It's doing well. TVL is increasing. Volume is increasing. Profits are increasing. On ICP, it's NAI as well, and this chart looks absolutely insane. It's insane, guys. It's insane. Today I'm just going to take a look at the ADA chart, guys, because ADA is the best example, and then we can take a look at the comment section. I'm excited, guys. We haven't seen any euphoria yet. We're correcting down very aggressively, but ADA, look at this. ADA is, who the hell wants to buy some of this altcoin down here, right? And you get a pump and dump, disbelief rally. It's all very crappy, right? Imagine having this pump and then having the C19 crash. You just really throw the towel here. You could be down 30, 40, 50, 60% from whatever you bought down here in the bear market. It's horrible, guys. You just need to have balls of steel, as they say. Then yeah, of course, then we had this. This did almost 100x from the ultimate low levels, right? It did actually do over 100x. Cardano, probably not going to see such an euphoric rally. There's not that much money around, right? We're not having quantitative easing, but there will be an altcoin season, regardless if it's going to be a 5x altcoin season on most of the cryptos and not a 50x or 100x. But it's going to happen. So yeah, what is interesting is taking a look at ICP when we do get the bars pattern. I was just sharing this with the legends today on Devils live stream. when we get the bars pattern right over here, and you know, let's just copy it here, paste. Let's see if this allows me to do it. Whoa, 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 what's happened? Hang on a minute. What happened here? Whoa, 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 whoa. Damn. Do 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 do. This should be shrinked a little bit more. Let's see if we do see something similar. See if we do see something similar here. So. Yeah, eventually a big, massive crash. This is ICP, okay? Obviously, this launched in 2021. It launched at the end of the bull market, so that was not the perfect launch. ICP was above $500. So, yeah. My goodness. Devastating collapse. Whoever invested on ICP at the end of the bull run. You don't want to get into any projects, guys, when Bitcoin's breaking all-time high. Because you're very, very exposed to a massive downfall on the bear market. Any altcoins that are launching in the next coming months, guys, you need to realize it is a big, big risk. ICP got people wrecked if they invested in 2021 with a massive collapse. But yeah, anyway, this is a little bit of the picture here, right? I like this movement, right? This is ICP in the bars pattern, ADA with a massive bear market. Everybody wrecked. This is not going to recover ever in the history, in the future, right? Not in the history. Obviously, this momentum, yeah. You know, ultimately, a bigger. Nobody's interested. Altcoin season is not going to happen. But eventually, you know, this eventually, you know, doors manage to recover at some point in the future. ICP is great. They've been developing. They are a working project. Volume is increasing on the blockchain. So it's just, for me, it's a shot, right? For me, it's definitely the shot. I'm not looking for 100x. I'm looking for a 10x, guys. You know, if I can turn, you know, $100,000 into $1 million, then happy days. Happy days. So, and when you take a look at ICP, eventually, you know, what you're looking at is a very, very good accumulating zone. Right, regardless if it's going to be a few months, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. This pump right over here is impulsive. This is corrective. It's a matter of time that this does recover, regardless if it goes to $4 or $5, you know, $3 again in the next coming months. So it's just you just need to be patient on these altcoins. But I have to say, this is a very interesting zone. You want to stay away of buying the pumps. When this rallies, it could be a failed rally, but you don't want to FOMO in eventually. You want to get in at rock bottom levels. Okay, we got stock market open. It is getting the dump right now. Stock market is dumping the price. There we go. NASDAQ, cheeky. New York open, market makers. Are they reversing here? Yeah, they are reversing that pump ever so slightly. So we got the good news of inflation, and we're getting the New York open pushing the price down here. It is the most common thing. If you do get good news 1 hour before the New York open, you know, people are going to be very happy with that good news, and they would be willing to long the news. And then New York open, you know, in this case, they did bring the price a little bit lower. I mean, nothing too aggressive. You just retraced half of the pump. Well, a bit more than half. Let's go through the comment section. Lol, Ethereum won't go to new all-time highs. Maybe 4K if you're lucky. Yeah, okay. I mean, if you do say so. I do think that Ethereum, what is very interesting is Ethereum, all of these decentralized networks, okay, it is really the future of finance, okay. I know people have a hard time to believe that, but it is true, right? When I want to do a transfer of $100,000, to another country through banks, I have a big, there is a big issue when you want to do big transactions. So throughout the traditional finance, guys, it's inevitable, right? And obviously Bitcoin is the gold of crypto, there's no doubt about it, but you need networks to send, all right, money, data, right? Preferably decentralized, right? We want a decentralized world where there's less control. And all of these different blockchain projects, right, L1s if you wish, is the back door, guys. It is the back door. So I do support Ethereum. I think for the moment it is the best decentralized network out there, and that's just my belief, right? It will do well in the future. It's inevitable. 171st like. Let's go, Relief. Much love to you, brother. I love you. ICP was also heavily manipulated by FTX and Alameda Research on their launch as well. Very true. I did not point that out, but that is a very, very true state right there from 𝗖𝗿𝗆𝗽. Yes. I'm patient on ICP too. ICP I think is good. Happy dumps. Bitcoin, yeah, I got a little bit of a dump right there. Got a little bit of a dump, losing the VWAP. But yeah, I do think that this, yeah, would not be good news if we do lose the lows here. I would not like it, but we could be holding golden pocket or 7-8 here, even though we lost the VWAP. Just cheeky New York Open, dumping the price on the good news. Very, very classic. Somebody did point out this in the comment section. It's easy. You get good news, inflation lower than expected, pump. You're going to get people FOMOing into long positions, and then you're going to have the New York Open. They are going to dump that pump of the good news, right? For the moment, it is halfway through that dump. So still not looking bad for Bitcoin. Still not looking bad. As long as we do hold that higher low, I think it's looking pretty okay. A-okay. Golden pocket 7-8 could be the level to hold here. As mentioned, I think the highest probability for the moment, looking at the chart, is looking at this as a 3-wave move to the downside, a 3-wave move to the upside, and a flat right over here for that complex WXY, which means that this could be the low. For the bears, multiple 1-2, not looking good. Second 1 and 2 is much larger, and yeah, there's no impulse here, so a contracting diagonal would be your other option. But this is usually rare, so for the moment it's not even formed, right? Looking better for the bulls, legends. Looking better for the bulls. Let's go. Ethereum ripples, eyes on them. Pump. Yes, it is pumping. We've got a little bounce here, actually. NASDAQ. Just a little shakeout from over leveraged longs, potentially. Bitcoin getting a nice quick bounce after the dump. Very, very quick bounce. So still A-okay for the bulls. Remember, we do have some pretty significant liquidity at the highs of Tuesday, sitting at $111,000 range. There is some nice liquidity up there. The structure that we do have looks more corrective. So I would be more interested in shorts on a swing failure pattern from Tuesday's highs, legends, okay? I would be more interested in a swing failure pattern from Tuesday's highs, which we do have a naked point of control, which is sitting at, yeah, just slightly above the Tuesday's highs right there. I'm not sure why I got two levels here. But there is that naked point of control from this consolidation that was not hit yet. So, I mean, that would be, you want to be cautious eventually because it could smack out through the level. It's not an instant short. It would not be an instant short. You want to see the price struggling to get back above that level and, you know, get back beneath that naked point of control with the first or second attempt. Failing to do so, you know, preferably in a 5-wave structure. And then here we look for the pullback. Of course, you want to enter here. You want to stop loss above the high. That is the clearest short that I do see. Only a rejection from Tuesday's highs, which is in confluence with that naked point of control. I would not be interested in any shorts here. Just because, you know, me personally, okay, I'm just giving my opinion. Just because this momentum looks incredibly corrective. So, yeah. Let's go. Let's see how many likes we do see in the comment section. Let's go. Let's go, legends. Let's get to 300 likes. Let's all together scroll down and smash it up. I don't get it, guys. Why my like button sucks. I must be, you know, I must be so bad. I must be so bad. I think a lot of people don't like me. And that's why my likes really suck. But anyway, I guess it is what it is. You can't like everybody, right? You know, you need to have people that you don't like in your life. Maybe you like watching me, but you don't like spreading the, you don't want to click the like button for some reason. I don't know. There we go. Thanks, legends. You're absolute legends. Super pump. Yeah, we've got a really nice little pin 15-minute candle that's closing in 15 minutes. We've got a nice little dumping pump here. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty good for the bulls here. It's looking pretty good for the bulls. You got potentially your first wave 1 and 2, and we could be developing that third wave here in the next hour or two. It does look good. We got a possible wave 1 right there. Wave 2 could be in. There is a chance. There is a chance here. We could squeeze up right now. This could be the moment that we do head up to those highs of Tuesday, guys. This could be the moment that it does head up to the highs of Tuesday. Let's get that like button. Oh my goodness, 300 likes. Let's go. Absolutely awesome. I'm just going to go quickly and take a hike, guys. When I come back, I want to see above 300 likes. Let's go. Okay, we are back above 300 likes. Let's go. Absolutely awesome. That's what I'm talking about, legends. Let's go. Not much here to discuss. We're just waiting to see if this is a possibility for anybody that is bearish. Your bearish case scenario here. Okay, your bearish case scenario is really holding this zone. Is really holding this area where we are at the moment. You want to form a lower high. You really do want to form a lower high here for the bears. Sometimes the scenario that I like the least is the one that plays out. So golden pocket from the recent lower highs from early this morning to the pivot low. This is really the zone that you really want to defend. So, yeah, it could be epic. It could be an epic short because, you know, there is a bearish count, which would be an ABC flat. And what you're forming is a multiple 1-2 right now. And the third wave is going to absolutely bleed. So, I mean, in a nutshell, I don't like it. I have to say, I need to be vocal. I'm not in the short, not interested. I would prefer to miss this short position. But it would, you know, your invalidation should really be the recent highs. I mean, it could be a good risk to reward because I would be looking for a pretty successful breakdown from the lows of yesterday. But this would be your short. You know, the moment you take this high, you're highly likely just going to take this high and it's gonna pop out. Okay, and then this is the reaction zone that we are looking at. So I think instead of trying to short here, I would rather miss the short position, guys, if I'm honest. But this would be the short for anybody that is bearish. You need to have an invalidation, and for me it's pretty clear that this is your invalidation. I'm not liking it, okay? Well, this is just something for anybody that is bearish and wants to short. You know, there is a chance. There is a chance, but the moment you claim these highs, you know, it's just a matter of time that you take up these highs. But for anybody that wants to take the shot and is, you know, just extremely bearish most of the times, there is a bearish case. Your invalidation is the highs, okay? Have invalidations, have a plan. The target zone would be quite interesting. I mean, risk to reward, if the bears really do kick in, it's no doubt breaking down successfully the lows of yesterday. I would say it's going to push down at least the naked point of control to this consolidation order block. I think you're very, very likely going to break down here. But like I said, guys, you know, it does look more corrective. All of this price action, it looks more corrective. It's all giving the highest probabilities, right? The highest probabilities that I do see on the chart is this. So yeah, it is dumping back down again. We are getting a bit of that volatility, pumping, dump, dumping, pump. Interesting. What's Nasdaq doing? Nasdaq continues to dump here, ever so slightly. Somebody was saying, a few people were saying that it's a trap. It is a fake pump. This structure does not look incredible here on the Nasdaq, we have to say. Not the most beautiful uptrend momentum. We don't like those ascending wedges structures on uptrend momentum, right? That could have been the catalyst right there to get on the top of the wedge. Very, very wedgy uptrend momentum. We don't like squeezed wedges to the upside because it is, you know, mainly it is uptrending, of course. You never know when the trend is going to finish. You can have lots of fake outs. But they are mainly a bearish pattern, right? Mainly. They are mainly a bearish pattern. So you take that with a pinch of salt. But it is uptrending. Oh, Bitcoin. It's not happening. We got a dump and pump, another dump. Still in the range. Still in the range. Oh, it's moving down now with the Nasdaq. Nasdaq is taking a little bit of the dump. Yeah, anybody that is trading the psychology point of view, inflation data lower than expected. Okay, bullish, bump. Stock market open, dump. Market makers taking control, not the news. And the 0.5 mid-range, 107.6 ABC. Yeah, also ABC flat. Okay, somebody was saying about this. I like it. I like it. I like it for an ABC. Yeah, it would be more of an ABC in my opinion. It would be more of a ABC flat. On some exchanges, you did hit the 0.9, which is already valid for a flat. Your best shot here for this ABC, like somebody said, 107.6. You do have that order block if you wish, naked point of control. This is the zone that should be maintaining support. You have the aggressive long scenario, which is claiming that level, naked point of control, order block, aggressive long position, or wait for a little bit of confirmation. You get the choppiness, you get a 5-wave structure to the upside, and then look for the retracement to get in. right? You know, that would be the ideal scenario. Even still, this guy still looks very corrective. But if this were to be the case from this high, there's only one scenario that I see. Double 1 2, double 1 2, and eventually 3 4 5 4 5, right? And then you might get that rally up. When we take a look at the target zones, then 1 2 3 6 is very common for your C wave, also for a regular flat, which is slightly below the naked point control here. So 1.618 extension, expanding flat, but in an expanding flat, you want to really reclaim your start of the A wave, right? If this is your A wave for an expanding flat, preferably you do get above the A wave and then you come down to the 1.618 for the expanding flat. But as you've just hit the 0.9 retracement on some exchanges, you would be leaning on, you know, maybe even just breaking down the lows, maybe 107.7, 1.236, 1 to 1. That would be the common zone to get the bounce if it's not an expanding flat. Regular flat, right? But, you know, this still looks like the scenario that is in play. Wow, it's just a volatility, but in the range, guys. Extremely boring. We're not getting a breakout. It's just a pump and dump, dump and pump. Still in the range. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit more exciting, but it's not. So, yeah, what can we do about it? No hiking. It's over for the bulls, says Axel. Well, I mean, we're still uptrending. We're just a few $1,000s away from all-time high. So it's pretty bold to say it's over for the bulls. And still, you know, all-time high is highly likely at some point. Considering the technical analysis, the market structure, all-time high is extremely likely. This does count best as a corrective structure. On some exchanges, yeah, I mean, with this massive rally to the downside, to the upside, sorry. Yeah, it's just it's a matter of time to hit all-time highs. We can talk about some different higher time frame Elliott wave scenarios, legends. Okay, of course, you know, we will just map them out here from scratch. We will map them out from scratch. This can be counted as a 3-wave move up. It can be counted as a 3-wave structure. Now it's a decision point to see if we are going to get one more leg to the upside. That could be counted as a 5-wave structure, or even a multiple 1-2 scenario where you have 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. You know, that would be the most bullish case. But there is a valid 3-wave structure here. If we are counting this as a WXY 3-wave structure, which makes more sense just because we have a 3-wave move down here. So we cannot label this as a C wave or a 5-wave. It needs to be a WXYXZ or a WXY. Okay, there's just no more to it because of this wave down. You know, it's just like that. If you are looking for the bearish case here for this to be an impulsive move down, well, it's just not the case, right? Let's leave it that way. So, you know, right now, as we do have a 3-wave move down and we have a 3-wave move up here, we haven't hit the 0.9 Fibonacci, which is your minimum requirement for a flat. On some exchanges we have. On Bybit we did hit the 0.9 Fibonacci. Okay, let's get the 0.9 Fib here. Hang on a minute. I don't have the 0.9 right now. Get the 0.9 Fib. Yeah, we haven't hit the 0.9 Fibonacci here, so Yeah, flat is not possible yet. So we should really claim those highs at some stage. But unless you are forming, you form a three-wave structure up, you get a corrective move and form another three-wave structure to the upside, and then this is your B wave of the flat. Maybe this could be a scenario. Maybe this could be a scenario right over here, regardless if it is going to be an expanding flat or not. You know, this would be a little bit of the scenarios that we would be looking at if we fail to break all-time high. This ends up being a three-wave structure. We move in a three-wave move to the downside, maybe even claiming these lows. We don't really know how aggressive it's going to be. But all-time highs looks imminent at this stage, regardless if you're going to form a larger flat or... The thing is that this is corrective. Regardless if the correction is going to continue, you have the other option as well, which is this is a zigzag to the upside. This is a zigzag move to the upside, and what you're going to be forming here is some kind of a triangle structure where you just move down, move up, move down, and you form a large range throughout the next coming days. And then you form that larger WXY. That is another option. Most of the options are looking at corrective structures to continue or claim the highs. This would be the most, bearish case in this case. Would still be bullish eventually for looking for new all-time highs at some point in the coming weeks. They're all corrective structures in this range between 100k and all-time highs. It's just yeah. So all-time highs is expected. Continuing the range or not. And, possibly if we do continue a larger correction, will it be more fuel to break out and enter price discovery later on? Because, the whole reason of really seeing all of this corrective is because I need to see the wave down, right? I need to focus on this. Does this look extremely bearish? Well, it doesn't. So... yeah, the only bearish scenario would be looking at this as an expanding move to the downside, okay, in a five-wave structure, which are extremely rare five-wave movements to the downside. An expanding move is extremely rare. There's something like 2 in the history of Bitcoin on the higher time frame. There really is. It just rarely happens. Could this be the case? Where this is actually an ABC. We're in a bull market, guys. So, looking for the bearish case scenario, it looks horrible. The bearish case scenario looks very, very bad. It looks very, very bad for the highs to be in and roll down. So everything points out that all-time highs is next, regardless if we do continue the range here in the next coming days. Okay, just so you are aware that the highest probability is taking out all-time high at some point. Bitcoin is really just having a volatility chop fest here. Also with the Nasdaq, I think bit of a dip. Really, really boring, right? We expect volatility on the news, but yeah, this is the kind of volatility that we get. Just a quick pump and dump of a few $100s. That's about it. Wow. Not very much going on, guys, unfortunately. Altcoins, Bitcoin dominance looks interesting. Still heavily in an uptrend. I am a strong believer that eventually this will end up breaking down at some stage, but this is in a very, very heavy uptrend. It's a matter of time. This uptrend might continue for a few weeks, but it's a matter of time that this ends up breaking down, right? Giving us that beloved altcoin season. that many people in crypto are waiting for, right? We're just gonna have to trade the markets, guys, and make the most of it. Crypto big brains, much love to you, brother. Smash up the like button. Yeah, like button has been going crazy just about 30 minutes ago. Thank you very much, legends, for that like button being smashed. Yes, 𝗞𝗫 pattern. On what time frame are we looking at that 𝗞𝗫 pattern, legends? Let me know. Is that on? Oh yeah, forget about the 𝗞𝗫 pattern, legends. It's not a pattern, okay? But yeah, I get the point here. 𝗞𝗫 pattern is purely from Bitcoin. It's still, even though claiming up the highs, you can create that last peak, okay? Regardless if it's here or if it's here, you know, you could still form that 𝗞𝗫 pattern, right? Is it something like this? There we go. We have it. The 𝗞𝗫 pattern. Not the best looking 𝗞𝗫, but yeah, guys, not really much of a pattern that you can trade. Let's be honest. Annie, what's the meaning of utility? What utility? What? Zip, zop, and dump, says Carlos Cruz. Yeah, Simpson on 1 hour. People like the 𝗞𝗫. Maybe we are just about to create that last spike, right, from his fringe, basically, right? Maybe the last peak could happen, claiming the highs of Tuesday. I'm interested in shorting here, guys. I have to say, if we do reject from that naked point of control that we have from this consolidation, you know, ultimately we could be looking at a swing failure pattern kind of scenario here. You know what? As I do think that this could be the case, if your wave 1 is in right now, we need to be careful because potentially your wave 3 is on the formation. You got your wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, blast through, and then eventually you do claim those highs on the wave 3, and then you get your wave 4, and then you create your swing failure pattern on your 5th wave. This is something that you would want to be paying attention to here, because eventually there's going to be a lot of interest of people shorting here. And this is a common area where you do create that double top. You obviously you need to take into consideration Elliott wave theory. If this is the low of the correction, that you form that 3rd wave, and then you get the corrective move, lots of shorts entering here, and then you get the liquidity grab to finish your wave 5, and then the price. That is when the moment, right? And obviously the local double top would be your best entry, right? Instead, you know, it really depends on this. If we do develop this 3rd wave right now, I would have no interest if the price really pumps here, because I realize that the market can do this and then this, and then it's when it drops down, right? And this is the double top that I am interested in, instead of the naked point of control, right? It's just a very, very trappy situation, right? You're gonna it's an obvious resistance, naked point of control at 110.8k, and the highs of Tuesday. It's a pretty obvious swing failure pattern. Will it be an easy swing failure pattern, which you just hit it and then you nuke, or will you hit it, correct, chop it, and then go down, right? That's the question. I know how to trade these. I would be happy for the double top. They can bring, you know, these swing failure patterns can bring massive rewards, massive rewards. And the other scenario is that you form a 5-wave structure, you correct down in a 3-wave structure, and then you blast off, right? And everybody that's shorting here either is getting stopped out at break even or getting wrecked if they don't manage risk. So, I mean, this is obviously the most interesting intraday, you know, day trading short zone, without a doubt. It's not, you know, you just need to know how to handle the situation. So yeah, much more here. Order block looks pretty interesting. Fair value gap. This is an interesting level of support right over here with the naked point of control. I would expect this area to hold nicely. If you lose the naked point of control, I would no longer be interested in catching along here. We need to reclaim that naked point of control from this consolidation. So if we move down, not interested. If we move up, then, you know, probably interested in long in here. So we'll see. Those are the most interesting levels eventually outside of this area. Have you seen the liquidity resting at 112, 113? Yes, sir. We've been talking about that at the beginning of the stream. You know, we do have some significant liquidity here throughout the $111,000 area. So we do have ever so slightly more liquidity at, you know, close to all-time highs, above the highs of Tuesday. It's interesting. We do have quite a bit of liquidity up there. Well, there is a lot to the downside as well, huh? Especially when we take a look at the last, you know, couple of weeks. There is a lot at 106, 105, 104. I mean, you know, there's lots of longs piling in. Okay, so bearish case is definitely a possibility. Based on the zigzag move down, three-wave structure up. You might come down first in a three-wave and then a three-wave up to then form your larger ABC flat. It is a possibility, but we are uptrending. I think, you know, could this be the case? Absolutely. Could this be the case, regardless if it's running flat or not, or take out the lows? But we are uptrending, right? We're just uptrending throughout this pump, so we have lots of liquidity at the highs of Tuesday. So this movement does look extremely corrective, as explained at the beginning of the stream. We are uptrending. We could have, you know, this could be a wave 4. Several ways in counting this. Several ways on counting this momentum. You could have a 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, right? It just gets a little bit on your nerves. It just continues the momentum up. Or you have there's a way of counting this as a contracting diagonal as well. 1 2 3 4 5. Quick wave 2 3 4 5. Correction, support, breakout from all-time highs, also an option. More locally here, as mentioned, this looks more corrective. And it's just a matter of time that we take out Tuesday's highs. Ganesh, this is your first cycle, right? Mark Dutch, here he is. Much love to you, Mark Dutch. I missed you, my brother. Hope you're doing well. Charts are stressing me out. Yeah, they are. They're you know, it's not easy always. You know, we were very much aware of the price bouncing here, but anybody that missed a swing failure pattern, you know, the swing failure pattern from this low, possibly entered here. If you're entering at the top of the rally, it's not ideal, but you still, if you did enter here, you're doing very well. So yeah, if you could have entered anywhere basically in the last 3-4 days, right? You're in profit, right? Just long the pumps, Preferably, I try and explain that ideally we do get some kind of a correction after a rally. So you do get some kind of a corrective move. In this case, we just continued to the upside. Very shallow pullbacks. I mean, this pullback was interesting because we did bounce at the point of control of this range, right? When we do zoom in on the V-shaped recovery, we just wicked down to backtest the point of control, which was pretty damn epic. I mean, that could have been your shot right there. It depends on your style of trading, right? If you're a swing trader, then who cares, right? Get in along wherever here, have a stop loss, look for a 2-3 to 1 risk to reward. You know, depending if you like really intraday aggressive, you know, you really want to try and catch the swing failure pattern here so you can maximize your profits. This was very aggressive, very, very personal. You know, it did swing failure pattern from a massive range. So yeah, it's just not. This would have been your best shot. Of course, you could have longed anywhere here. Back test of the point of control. I preferred a corrective move to get into another long. So for me, I didn't get into any longs here. Just not the kind of, you know, price action that I want to jump into a long, if I'm honest here. No, not an easy zone. You would want to see that corrective move down to then look for the long of the breakout of the channel, right, or whatever is your strategy, right? So this is what we're leaning on here, guys. I think we are going to claim those highs of Tuesday. Man, what boring price action with the news and the New York Open. My goodness, we're not getting any breakouts either down or up. We're just in the range. But what makes more sense here is that we are forming, you know, possibly this, just a complex sideways corrective structure in a WXY. I think this does look like it has the highest probability at the moment. And the bearish case scenario would be from this high. This is a 1-2, 1-2. Well, yeah, I don't think this has high probability at the moment. So this has been explained. Any bears out there? I mean, it depends on your strategy, right? I mean, maybe you have a very poor swing trading strategy, which I did have back in 2019. And that's where I got wrecked, guys. The last time I got wrecked, which I lost just about $20,000 back in the day, that was a lot of money for me, was when I had no stop loss. This is going to reverse at some point, and I'll just add to the position. At some point, it's going to reverse, and then then I'm wrecked. Then I'm wrecked, right? I mean, maybe you do have. I'm just going to put 1% of my capital here, and then if we do swing failure pattern from these highs, I will add another 1%, right? Maybe that's your strategy. That would be responsible, right? I'm putting 1% for a short here. If we do pump and break, you know, the highs of Tuesday, I will not add to the position. If we swing failure pattern, I will add to that short position and then lower my stop to, you know, to the highs. It really depends on how you trade here. But when you go all in on one position, expecting a reversal in this case, the market is uptrending. The movements are looking corrective, and it's a matter of time that we do claim those highs. And the question is, will we create a swing failure pattern, or will we break out massively? That is my question, right? When we go level to level, you always have to say, okay, this is your next big major level. There's two options here. You fail to break above the level and you get the correction, double top, right? Very simple, you know, very common as well to happen. Or you actually break out and you continue a massive rally to all-time highs. You know, that is my question right now. I don't know. I do not know. I know there's higher probability in claiming these highs right now with this price action. But I do not know if we're going to fail to break out Tuesday's highs. That is the question. So anybody that is entering shorts, you know, you need to have an invalidation, which would be these highs. If you take out these highs, you're going to take out these ones with high probability. So you need to have an invalidation, and your easy invalidation would be these highs. I would not want to be in a short if you break out these highs, because I don't know if we're going to swing failure pattern or if we're going to break out, right? Just a little risk management tip right there, and realizing your levels of invalidation when you're trading. It's you're a one decision away of getting stopped out at a minor loss, or getting stopped out or getting wrecked, right? It's your decision here, right? For all of those bears out there, there was a lot of bears at the beginning of the stream saying, fake pump, short it. Manage risk, guys. Any bears out there, manage risk. We are uptrending. This does look insanely corrective, and it does seem like it's a matter of time that we take out this high. And now the main question is, will we break out from this high sustainably? Naked point of control from price action that we had back in the day still, that hasn't been tapped. Or will we fail to break above it? If we fail to do so, then you have a good risk management short trading opportunity that could bring the prices to very much low levels. You know, probably even claiming the lows of yesterday, right? That would be your target one, possibly. And, you know, maybe if it breaks down, then maintain that position. But, maintain risk over there, bears out there. Maintain risk. Maintain risk. Yeah, I'm really decreasing on probabilities right now, because, yeah, you're just about to hit the, you know, you're just about to hit the 0.88 here. Bears are, it's not looking good for the bears here. If this pump gets another extra few $100s of a pump, it's not going to be looking good. $72 greed isn't greed. That's like normal in a bull market. Yeah, we are fear and greed index, not much. No Bitcoin, no Ethereum. Why only trade Fartcoin? Who's trading Fartcoin? BTC is curling up for a big move, either up or down, says Crypto Big Brains. You got that damn right, my man. Mark Dutch in the comment section. Crypto Big Brains giving love and support as always, my man. It would be great if you did a simple poll here. 1 up, 2 flat, 3 down, just to check the sentiment in here. That is actually pretty epic. Okay, let's do that. What is your sentiment right now, guys? Up, down, flat. I'm going to put the exact same poll here that this absolute legend suggested in the comment section, guys. I'm here for you. I hear you. Okay, I do hear you. What is your sentiment right now? Let me know on the poll. Okay, I mean, I'm going to say locally up. Locally is claiming those highs. That's my sentiment right now, regardless if we break out those highs or not. BTC moving up, Andy. Yes, it is. It is. It was the highest probability. It was the highest probability. You know, we had the chance of having a finished complex sideways corrective structure in this movement. The news, the New York Open was not helping. It does look like it could squeeze out now. Yeah, now is a chance to get that squeeze out and claim Tuesday's highs. It is the moment right now. I think follow through is the highest probability. Looking at current price action. So by the looks of things, this is what we're looking at. Inverse head and shoulder on the daily time frame, Andy. It might enable the final leg of the cycle. Wow, inverted head and shoulder on the higher time frame. I'm not sure if you are talking about, hold on a minute, let's clean up the chart. I mean, yeah, this is inverse head and shoulder. Are you talking about this? Are you talking about this right over here? Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, if you know, it's not much of an inverse head and shoulder if you ask me. I would not want to get in a long position on the breakout. If you're looking at this as a trading setup, all-time high breakout, yeah, obviously you can continue up, there's no doubt about it, but I would not want to long based on this setup, as in breakout long and put your stop loss beneath the right shoulder or something like this, and you know, target this right over here. Yeah, this would not be a trade that I would want to get into. Okay. No. But yeah, maybe this, yeah, inverted head and shoulder, not the best looking inverted head and shoulder, more like a humpback Notre Dame, you know, inverted head and shoulder with a small little right shoulder right there. Yeah, it could be the case, but it's not really a pattern that I would take into consideration. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the one. I mean, you said higher time frame. Maybe this is the one. I can only see this as the inverted head and shoulder. Yeah, this is not the kind of pattern that we want to take a look at on the channel. Okay. Let's go through the comment section. Nicola Stella, how many channels already banned you? I don't know who this guy is, but he's not making Mark Dutch happy here. Market makers can smell my thinking. Tim Latus. Yeah, you always have that sentiment as a trader. Preparing for third wave, says Alice. Yeah, it looks like it. Ethereum approaching local highs. Ethereum, Nasdaq got a little bit of a pump and dump, but still in the range. Ethereum, I'm bullish on Ethereum, but yeah, Ethereum is ripping at the moment. Ethereum is ripping. Altcoins are doing relatively well. You've got some altcoins that are pumping quite nicely, guys. We've got some altcoins that are doing quite good. You know, let's take a look at Cardano. Yeah, Ultimate, still so ICP. My goodness. I mean, I'm very, very bullish on this one. Very, very bullish. Very, very bullish on this one. Bullish on Chainlink. So Dogecoin doing pretty good, I think. Dogecoin is doing pretty okay. Big pump and dump, ranging. Got our first leg up here. This could definitely be that wave 2. We could be on the formation of, you know, recovering here in the next coming weeks on Dogecoin. You know, after this aggressive downtrend, you know, we got a first initial sign of strength throughout the last few weeks. Corrective move. Maybe it is time to recover. You want to be really, no financial advice here, but positioned on altcoins, guys, before any major rally. Not sure if Dogecoin is your favorite crypto. Got into a long, little bit risky long position. I have to say, this is not an easy long position that I got in here. That was provided in the Telegram. Okay. It was provided in the Telegram. Looking at this WXY structure, it was a little bit of a bet. Didn't risk too much in this trade, but we're leaning on probability. Stop loss was very far away. It wasn't really a massive risk to reward trading setup, but just realizing that the price could leave without me, understanding this structure. So yeah, guys, you know, this is something that was provided in the Telegram group. If you want to join the Telegram, you do have the first link down below in the description. Okay, legends. First link, join the community on Telegram. you know, to look for my BTC setups, you know, that I'm looking at for the moment. It has not been easy the last few days. I'll have to be honest. It's just been rallying mainly here very aggressively. You know, this was the little bit of a clear range before continuing to the upside, which is this WXY. It was the only clear scenario that I've had on the last few days, guys, I have to say, on Bitcoin. That hasn't been easy. So anyway, yeah. Let's see if we do push out to claim those highs. I think, yeah, we just, it's a matter of time right now that we do squeeze out. I do not see any bearish case right now when price is all the way up here. Could the range continue? Could the range continue? I mean, worst case scenario here, before claiming this high, this is no zone to get into longs, I have to say, even though it's highly likely that we squeeze out. But the worst case scenario is that we see this as a three-wave structure, and you got a three-wave move up, three-wave move down, three-wave move up, and then you form the flat over here. That will be devastating. You don't want a long up here, guys. That is for sure. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I mean, no financial advice, of course, but that would be devastating if all of this were to be your B wave. A, B, and then, you know, you really break down aggressively. You know, it could happen eventually. You always need to be aware. I need to let the Telegram community that's, you know, we want to really be defensive right now with this movement, just understanding that could be the case. That could be the case. Anyway, legends, not much to discuss here on the price of Bitcoin. Okay, remember that you do have those sexy exchanges down below in the description. We do have many with great bonuses down below. Okay, you do have weeks with $30,000 deposit bonus. You just need an email and a password to sign up. You get 25% fee reduction. That is using the second link down below, guys. You just need an email and a password, and you can sign up already. Okay, and trade Bitcoin and many altcoins. Of course, bluffing. Also great perks, 20% cash back on your deposit. You also only need an email and a password. Okay, you got the fourth link down below here for bluffing. Take advantage, legends, for those bonuses. Not much more here, guys. The next big major levels, you know, as we are still inside of the range, and I would be expecting those highs. Worst case scenario right now would be forming a flat here. This has been a B wave, zigzag up, zigzag down, well, flat down really, and a zigzag up here, and then boom. Would be interested in longs, okay, at the naked point of control. Those are the levels that just need to be waiting for. Either the highs for a rejection, either the lows for a reclaim, right? Get back above it, regardless of what scenario happens here, considering Elliott wave theory. Legends, much love to everybody. You've been absolutely awesome. Okay, Jesus, Ethereum is popping out. Ethereum just wants to pop, and this is the risk right now with considering swing failure patterns, right? Chop, chop, chop. It's a double top. I don't think so, right? We are in very, very bullish market structure. 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5. You know, this is rallying, guys. It is a rally. So yeah, shorts are really not the greatest options. Ethereum 114k. Popcorn. Oh my goodness. Mark Dutch is saying that we are going to 114k. We're going to rally all the way up there. Very, very possible. Very possible. let's go. In no short positions currently, guys. In no shorts at all. I would be interested in that double top, but we are in very, very strong uptrend momentum, guys. Be cautious. We might just blast through here. But this would be the rejection. We'll be paying attention to that level. Naked point of control from this consolidation. Sweep up the highs, lower high, higher from Tuesday. Maybe it is the case where it does get the pullback. That would be the only level that I would be interested in a shorting. If we do reject from it, right? That's another thing. No shorts. Currently only in longs, guys. Stay safe with your trading. Subscribe, smash up the like button. 𝗞𝗫, much love to you, brother. Thank you very much for the insane support as always. Thank you, 𝗞𝗫. Thank you, everybody. On what price you plan for a short. Yeah, that was it, basically. There's a naked point of control from this consolidation. I will only consider the short if we really get that swing failure pattern, right? So basically, you get above it, you fake it. Stop loss needs to go above the high. I wouldn't go too crazy with this. I would be risking 0.5, 1% maybe of capital, just because we are uptrending. It's dangerous. You don't need to go crazy with shorts, okay? We are very much bullish. There is a chance of rejecting, so I would only get into a small short position on the rejection with stop loss above the high of the rejection, because, I mean, if it does play out, it could really, really get a major move down and sweep up the lows of yesterday. So yeah, that's the only short, and it will be a small short if we reject. If we don't reject, then higher we go. What can I say? Yeah, much love to everybody, guys. Thank you very much for joining today. For me is a WXY forming XB wave at 1.5%, 112k. Okay, yeah, I do see that scenario. I do see that on the higher time frame. You know, maybe it is a larger ABC, right? Sorry, my bad. I'm going to the extreme higher time frames here. Yeah, maybe that is the case, right? Where we do have yeah, this is the double zigzag right there. Could be a 3-wave scenario. You might top out here, then 3-wave down, 3-wave up. Very possible as well. You might claim the highs here. This could still be labeled as a 3-waver, and then you get this, and then back up. Or you could actually reject from here, back up, claim the highs, ABC flat scenario. Many different scenarios, guys. They're all pointing out to claim out the highs anyway. Much love to everybody. Stay safe. Thank you very much. Oil just dropped. Perfect. We'll have cheaper oil, gasoline prices then. Much love, crypto big brains, 𝗞𝗫 moderators, everybody here. If you want more information, join the Telegram. You got the first link down below, okay? Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you in the next one.